Hello students, it is February 27th, 2025. I came to see this weird show at the Soda Bar. That's Jessica Von Rabbit is the opening act, and then Bob Log is the headliner. This seemed like something interesting that I could video and use as the interstitials for my video lecture about current state of video games. So that's what I'm doing, and the weird stuff you see is from this weird rock show at the Soda Bar. All right, before I go to our guest expert, I just want to touch on a couple of things. One of them is for many decades, there were competing consoles, Sega, Nintendo, Atari, Xbox. I don't, you guys probably know this stuff better than I do. But if you wanted to play a particular game, you had to have that particular console, which is different. In that way, the video game industry was much, much different than other forms of media. Like, for example, think about music. If you would buy a CD or a cassette tape or a record back in the day, you didn't have to have a particular type of player to play that. It was a universal standard. So video games used to be very restricted to which console. As we're going to hear in a moment here, the console wars aren't such a big deal anymore. However, there is a new device coming out very, very soon. I think it's soon anyway, as of this recording. This Nintendo Switch 2, a lot of buzz about that. So I think we're gonna next time I do a video like this, maybe next year or in 2 or 3 semesters, I will update and we'll know how the Nintendo Switch number 2 did. The other thing that I want to mention is esports are a big thing. Actual competitive video games. People get paid money to do this, and you can actually win money. I think League of Legends, I think that's what it's called, is a very, very big one. I know this stuff is big in Asia, bigger in Asia than it is in the United States, South Korea in particular. But yes, you can make money as a competitive video gamer. Tell your parents that video games are important. The other thing I want to mention is that we've seen with the video game industry, we've seen a change away from people buying a physical artifact. Like, you no longer buy movie on a DVD. Some people do, but that's not the norm. Most people just stream. Same with music. People aren't really buying a physical artifact, some type of physical format. They're streaming, and we've been seeing that with video games. Video games have probably pioneered that form of distribution, and video games are coming up with more and more ways to sell product to people without actually having to purchase a thing. Okay, something that I wanted to throw in is a phenomenon called machinima. I believe I'm saying that correctly. It's a combination of the words machine and cinema, and I'm really fascinated by this particular art form, and I'm going to call it an art form. There's a concept, sort of academic concept called user innovations with technology, which posits that users of a particular technology typically find a way to use it different than the way producers imagine. So something will be invented and people start using it in a different way. This is a classic example of that. Video games were designed as something you would play. People found ways that they could actually create art with it by going in, and these games where you have like a human looking avatar, make that human looking avatar do something and then maybe dub in some different voices so you have like a little skit or something like that. There are some fair use implications for that. Like if you've released a movie that's made using Grand Theft Auto, for example, can you copyright that and actually monetize and sell that? Or do you have to owe something to Grand Theft Auto? That's what we mean by the fair use implications. This is a very old practice. Goes back to the early 90s, if not before. There was a game called Stunt Island, which allowed users to make little recordings. And then we had Doom. FPS stands for first person shooter, where the point of view is when you're looking down the barrel of gun. That's a particular genre of game, first person shooter. Doom allowed people to make recordings of gameplay. And that's when people realized that they could, like, dub in the voices of Abbott and Costello, like that Abbott and Costello routine you heard in another video lecture. Just have the characters, like in a violent video game, act that out. And then Doom, Machinima was big with Doom, and then it continued with Quake. And then, 20 years ago, there actually started to be film festivals devoted to this particular form of art. Some of these things have been used in video games, I mean, used in music videos, used in films, and some works of art on very, very serious subjects, which leads me to this. This was a pretty current article from April 2025. That's about as current as you can get. I'm recording this in April 2025. Some guys did Hamlet inside Grand Theft Auto. I think that's has been released as a film or released as a documentary. But yeah, there was a version of Hamlet that was created inside Grand Theft Auto.
All right. I'm Gian Nami. I'm your classmate in JMS 200. I don't know if I can call myself an expert, but I've been playing video games since 2010. And I've been playing as early as I can remember Dota 2. I used to make videos, machinima, or animations from GTA and was it Team Fortress 2? I used to stream, but I deleted all of that, made sure no trace on the internet, all of that gone. And I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I've spent thousands of dollars in video games and following the video game news. So take that as you will.
Okay, all right. You're more of an expert than I am. Okay. So tell me about uh I know there's different consoles that people use. There's PCs and then there's PlayStation and Xbox. What's the status of consoles right now and what's the console wars going on right now?
Currently, console wars have been around since the 1980s, but I think the console wars have ended. Personally, since PS4, since PlayStation 4, I think the console wars have already ended. It's clear winner, Xbox. But it's also clear that Xbox and PlayStation are going downhill when it comes to performance, people liking which games and how the old industry standard was for games and for people buying games, how games are produced. Like AAA games are currently going down. Basically, that's the bubble that's bursting. AAA games are basically giant companies who spend a lot of money, who have a lot of people working on one single game, billions of dollars, high quality games, but it's very intense when it comes to technology. So I think Cyberpunk 2027, that's like 85 gigabytes in one game.
Cyberpunk
So, and
2027? Is that what you said?
2077, I mean,
Okay.
2077.
Okay.
Cyberpunk 2077 is like 80 gigabytes, and it's like super high quality, super expensive production wise, and super expensive when you buy it. That's pretty much what a AAA game is.
Okay,
It's like a
that's
lot of
opposed
money.
to so you have AAA games, and then on the other hand, you have something like Candy Crush, which is like a whole different experience.
Yeah,
Okay.
like double A games, which isn't as expensive when producing. Not too many people were in the process of making it, and yeah, pretty much it. And for independent games, are like either one or two people making it, not much of a budget, and it's purely a passion, like a passion project. And there's also now a major emphasis towards live service games and
Okay,
free
yeah.
games.
Tell me
Yeah.
live service games. I know of Fortnite because I know everyone used to play Fortnite, but like, what's the difference between a live service game and like a different type of game?
Well, traditionally, when we think of buying games, we will grab a disc and we will never get any updates from it. And it's like the one thing. It's like one story, and once you're done, it's done. It's over. Or maybe you'll get a sequel, but it's completely separate from the original game. Now, when you download the game, you get updates every other month or every season, where it's still the same game, but new content is added. So you don't have to create any sequel games.
So it's
So like imagine
the same game is continuing.
same game, yeah, continuing. Instead of people playing, oh, Fortnite 2. No, it's Fortnite, still Fortnite. It's just a new season. It's just that. It saves the company money and also saves them from the production of like going through the production all over again when producing another game.
What was the story of this Concord that was like a flop?
Oh,
What happened?
Concord was Sony's attempt of trying to use the old model of games into the like to the current market. it didn't work out since they want us to fully pay the game and they want us to buy the microtransactions and they want us to use it continuously when there's already games who do the same thing, like Valorant, Apex Legends, those games for free. I don't have to pay for them, and they already have their own microtransactions. So why Concord failed is Sony tried to use the old model. It's already gone. It's like only a proof of concept that the old model of playing and selling games is already dying.
Okay, so Concord, just to clarify,
Yeah,
was sort of an attempt to use the old model to
yeah,
mix with this new model, but it didn't work. And then I know what microtransactions are, but for people who don't play video games, I think it's maybe a game is free or very low cost, but if you want to upgrade to a new armor or get a new weapon or get new skin for your
yes,
character, you have to pay money so that
yeah,
the game could be free, but you could, in the long run, empty out maybe your parents' credit card or something.
yeah,
That's what microtransactions are.
yeah. It is. I
Oh,
spent $500 in one game. I admit, I am embarrassed by that.
okay, before I go into this, there was another topic you told me about. Before I was going to ask you to just give some examples of different genres. Uh, you told me about this new concept of gaming across platforms, where the idea is that you create one account and it goes to different platforms. Could you explain that?
Yeah. Well, cross platformers are basically you can buy a game and you can have access to it to multiple devices. A good example I could think of is Minecraft, one of the early ones. You can play Minecraft in mobile, you can play Minecraft in a laptop, in a PC, or in a console. It's available anywhere, which is where most of the current industry is going towards that, where it's available both in PC and Xbox, or both in PC and PlayStation, or it can also be available in mobile, PC, and console. Basically,
Oh,
they're trying to widen their audience base.
okay, when you said the console, you earlier said the console wars were over. This seems like
Mm.
part of it as well. That like it doesn't matter which console you have, you could play.
Yeah, that's pretty much what's ending the console wars because it doesn't matter anymore. You can still play the same games you like.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right. So I have a list. You sent me this list of like
yeah.
when I asked people, give me information about video games, you sent me by far the most detailed information. Um, okay, I'm just going to go through these. You
All
talked
right.
about retro games, remasters, and remakes. What are we talking about here?
Um, there's a lot of push in the internet right now with people either buying emulators or creating their own emulators or buying old retro what do you call it? The old like Game Boy style players, like handheld consoles, and also actual companies re-releasing old games that work with current consoles and PCs. Basically, they're old stuff for nostalgia's sake, for the older people and for people who like more simple games. They're re-releasing that stuff, and it's actually really nice.
Okay,
I
so
yeah.
for example, the one game that I'm really into is Dig Dug, which came out in the early 1980s. I remember it when I was
Mhm.
a teenager. I play Dig Dug now, but I'm playing it on PlayStation. This is what you're talking
Yeah, you can do that. Or you can do that also in computer with using an emulator or your phone if someone had made that. But yeah, pretty much.
about.
But
Okay,
most of emulators and when it comes to PC, most of the emulators are community made. So the people who like the game would work on trying to get that game into the computer.
oh, so this is in an academic term, I would call this a user innovation, where the users
Yeah,
have innovated a type of thing that the industry didn't. So people could say, hey, I really liked Centipede was an old game. I want to be able to play Centipede on my PC. So people actually just programmers and hackers or whatever just mod
yeah.
something. Okay, all right. I can understand that much. Okay,
It's all adventure.
I don't want to go off too far, but are you excited for this Minecraft movie? Yes or no?
No, no. It does not look I mean I would watch it. I'm gonna watch it, but I'm not excited.
Of course you're gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it, but no, it doesn't look good to me.
It does
Jack Black
not.
is not. What's the guy? Steve? Is that the guy's name?
Yeah, Steve. Yeah.
Okay, Steve has got to be like a young guy. He's not like a fat
Yeah.
middle-aged guy like me. I'm just saying that like that's Jack Black. No. Okay. We're gonna skip arcades because I already mentioned Dig Dug.
Yeah.
Anime style. I don't know any of this stuff. Anime style action games. what are the big games here?
Currently, the anime style games are very popular in Asia. That's where I grew up with. So games like produced by Kuro Games or MiHoYo or any of the Chinese and the Japanese and the Korean market. Games like Reverse 1999, Genshin Impact, those are really big players right now. They're adding millions and millions of dollars in their revenues, like
Reverse Impact?
surprisingly. Oh no, Reverse 1999 and Genshin Impact, those are one of the two big ones right now. And there's a lot more coming out. It's basically catering to people who watch anime and they use that same like the same style into the game. That's very popular right now in some niches in the internet.
Did you
And for
say
action games,
you said you play these in
mhm.
Asia?
Oh yeah, I did. I played a lot of these
But
back
where? Where
home.
specifically?
Yeah. I was in the Philippines, but I did visit some people in China, and that's where I got introduced to it.
Okay. All right. Now you put this acronym here, which I think I understand. VRMMORPG, massively multiplayer online role-playing games, right? VR and
Hmm.
virtual reality. Um,
Yeah.
People are using VR for these sort of like World of Warcraft is the only MMORPG or pig whatever that I know of. There's others? There's other games?
There's others actually. There's others. But one of them's an anime game actually called SAO, which is based on an anime. Not a fan, but people have made a game, and some companies have also made games. VR chat is one of the ones I really enjoy right now, where people play as characters and chat with other people in VR. Like, remember your experience in VR where
Yes,
you
yes.
were in the room with other, yeah, it's basically that, but imagine with other people.
Yes, John loaned me his VR headset. I played around with a little game Beat Saber. Beat Saber? I don't know what it's called. What it's something like that. Anyway, here's some video of me. Kind of embarrassing, but here it is.
Careful, you're swinging near the dog. You made the dog go away.
Okay. And then you mentioned GTA and racing style games. There's supposed to be like a Grand Theft Auto that's like been on hold for like years, right? Like,
I'm waiting.
but like
Everything has,
there's been like it's been like years since we had the latest Grand Theft Auto, right?
yeah, I've actually been waiting. It's a common joke right now in forums where, oh, some big news like world news would happen. Oh, this happened before GTA 6. It's like, oh, this guy died before GTA 6. It's like people making a joke like everything will happen or the world will end and still no release of GTA 6. It's like people would joke about that like at this point.
When did
Yeah.
GTA 5 come out?
I believe was it 2013, I think?
Okay, here we go. I've got some statistics and some slides I pulled from this report, Essential Facts about the US video game industry for 2024. What do we have here? Okay, now this chart here shows a gender breakdown of game players over time, female and male. Not surprising, there's a stereotype that video games are something boys play or young men. Not surprising, there's more men than women playing video games, but there's the number of women playing video games is not zero. Okay, I want to stress that it's not zero. A little bit less than 50%, but more than one might think. That's more than one might think. Okay, and then also I just want to go back to something we've already covered that the definition of video games includes many, many things. So if you include a casual game that you might play on your phone, as well as a game that you would play on a console, the AAA games, as we've heard about, that's a different type of experience. So when you factor in all types of video games, it's not surprising that the amount of women, I mean, when you break down the gender, it's almost 50%, a little bit less than 50%, but it's not zero. Now, when you look at this is something else we've also seen with other forms of media that as people get older and with different ages, you see different types of media that they use. Here we have game platforms associated by divided up by generation on the far right. I'm not in this. Okay, I'm not in that old category yet. We don't see boomers and the silent generation. We don't see them playing consoles, and that purple is virtual reality. Look, there are not a lot of them playing virtual realities or playing console games, but mobile games, very casual games. There's a lot of people playing mobile games. And then when you go way over to the left here, sort of the younger generation, which I think is, many, if not most of the people in JMS 200, virtual reality games are more popular. And then consoles are much more popular as well. So yeah, I did think that's an interesting and another parallel with other types of industries that we've studied, that when you do a breakdown by age, that there's different usage patterns. And we have gaming platforms, back to the issue of gender. When you look at mobile games skew a little bit more female than male, a little bit more. And then when you look at console games, which I associate with more of the sort of the violent, I'm just going to use that term violent, skew more men than women, and the same with PC as well. I look at virtual reality. Virtual reality seems to appeal a little bit more to men than women as well. But yeah, I'll put the basic things you might need to know, things that might show up on the quiz, I'll put in the lecture notes. And we have, according to this report now, top selling video games of 2024, Call of Duty Black Ops. And then we've got this football game. Never heard of Helldivers 2. I never heard of Helldivers 1, but that's up there. And then we've got more things that I've never heard of. I don't play any of these games, but yeah, Black Ops. And then mobile games by revenue. Okay, when you look at revenue for mobile games, which might be free to download, but they could have these microtransactions or in-app purchases. There could be another way for them to generate money. And this thing called Last War Survival and Pokemon. What is that? It's not Pokemon Go. That's another Pokemon game. Oh, it's a card game, right? Like a virtual card game. Yeah. Anyway, I thought this was interesting, that Pokemon and Monopoly Go and Royal Match. Yeah, there's the top 10 mobile games by revenue. Okay, that's it for this video lecture about current stuff with video games. Stay tuned for kind of a bonus post-credit scene. It's after the last question. A musical performance by a guy called Bob Log, or Bob Log 3, Bob Log the third, something like that. Anyway, after you answer the question, you could click out, but if you like weird music and you like weird stuff, stay tuned for Bob Log 3. on stage.